Hello everybody, this is Daniel Klingensmith from DPP Manufacturing in lovely Emporia, Kansas. We're going to have a toolbox meeting today about scheduling, how we do it, why we do it that way, so on and so forth. Our method of scheduling is pretty good for what we do. We're constantly trying to improve it. One of the big things that we do is we do a schedule board, and then on top of that we actually use an ERP system as well to set out the priorities for the jobs, for the work orders, that kind of stuff. Okay, so we're going to start out with our scheduling board. Most shops probably don't need to time track like we do. We use the MRP system mostly just for time tracking. We are slowly implementing it over time, and it works really good. It's just one of those things. It's not something you can necessarily jump into when you grow. You have all this stuff going on. You can't just dedicate tons of time to it. So we've been slowly incrementing it into our company over time, and everything we've done right so far, we've got working really well. The biggest thing for us is time tracking. When our guys start a job, we want to have them logged into that job so we know what our labor costs are. Because of the nature of what we do, it's not necessarily we make a part for X amount of dollars, as we're doing a job, and that job we are charging by the hour, time plus materials. That's a lot of what we do. So keeping track of that time cost is really important. Also keeping track of the additional costs that we have. So, for us, if we go to a local supplier and we buy hardware or order bearings or order a specialty raw material to go to that job, we have to have a way to keep track of all that too. We do that. Our purchasing lady, she takes care of all the purchasing that we do. Even if she's not necessarily the one who does the ordering, she is given all that information so that she can add that into the costing of the job as it gets ready to go out. Okay, but more important than that, the MRP system we use E2, works really good. We've been having great luck with it. We looked at quite a few of them, and E2 was a pretty good fit for the kind of work we do, because our work isn't necessarily super documentation heavy, but it is, step heavy and tracking and lots of sub-assemblies and that kind of stuff. Well, with E2, I personally sometimes have struggled trying to see the overall picture of my shop, because I'm a visual guy. I think about, okay, all these machines, all these people, what's got to go through it, and then on top of that you throw all of our field service on top of that, and the jobs we got to do, and those are all interconnected, and it gets to be a little bit complicated. So the way we started out a long time ago was with our job board. That's the thing behind us, and it was a huge thing. I used to just do it in a paper list written down, and then as we've grown, and now we have production foremen and whatnot who's keeping everything running at the shop, it made it harder for me to convey to the employees what they need to do. So we're going to take you through a couple of different parts of this, and hopefully you guys find it interesting. So first thing, job board. It's pretty simple. Let me get you up here closer. The way the job board works is really simple. Okay, I'm going to get you a real close view for a minute. We're going to start out on the left side, all the tags at the top. Okay? So the way this works for us is left-hand side, we put the job name, a fairly brief description. Okay? The first column of these pegs, okay, is this job has been put into E2, so it has the ability to be time tracked. Okay, then as it goes through and we get this job ready for production, it'll go through certain steps. Is there design work that needs done? If not, or if the design work is finished, it gets a peg. Do we need to order any material for the job? If the material is done, taken care of, we get a peg. Is there programming that needs to happen? Gets a peg. Is it ready to go to production? Gets a peg. Once it goes through there, then it is ready to be shifted to this side of the board. If you look, we don't look at it by every single machine, because I got a lot of mills, got lots of lathes and whatnot, but I look at it what operation needs to happen. Okay, is there saw work, plasma work, weld work, hydraulic area or assembly work, manual lathe or mill work? Mianos is all of our CNC lathes, is all under that now. Fidal work or CNC mill work. Paint, palletize, any other specialty notes that need to go with it. So what we do is we'll put a peg for each step, okay? So these cylinders that we're going to manufacture, They got all these different steps that need to be done. Okay, so what I can do is I can pick and go, okay, I am going to put this employee, Elaine, on this job. Okay, so now I have an easy way to keep track when we walk up the board. I know this employee is on this job. These shafts here, okay, they're their next job, so we've got to get the paperwork and stuff done through the office, the design and all that, so the two of these employees can get to work. So it allows me to know what I need to do, what my priority needs to be as far as it goes, right? Fairly simple. Once we get a particular operation done, whatever that operation is, we'll say it's the saw work for this lattice bar, peg comes off. So once you get to the point where you have all your pegs off of here, then the job is done. It comes off the board, right? That's fairly simple. And so we don't like making things overly complicated. What we do is difficult enough to keep track of. So a fairly simple board. It starts with one, and then over time it's grown, and now we got 2 boards that get filled up pretty regular. So after we walk through those steps and run it through, it makes it really easy for anybody to walk up and look at our jobs and say, okay, this is where we're at on any given job, and makes it easy for me and my foreman to communicate, because if I'm not here and he can look and see where we're at or what he needs to work on. I can look and see what I can do to pitch in when I come in, so it makes it easy for us to work together. So the next step that we have in this is So the next part of this is our work orders, and we use baskets in the shop for each of our guys so that they all know what job they need to clock into at any given point in time. They can look in here and we put them in order. So the first job is at the front, the next one, right? So we're going to look at Steven's paperwork, okay? So in Steven's basket, he has his work order, his traveler, okay? His traveler is going to tell him all the steps that he needs to do. It's generated with our E2 system. Works pretty good. Prints on the back, notes, all that kind of stuff. It's like what you normally would do, right? The other thing that you'll notice that we keep are our training guidelines in all the employees' basket. And we'll talk about these in another video. But we take, and foreman, or in this case most of the time Lee takes and puts whatever job needs to be attached next into our baskets. So we got a whole wall of baskets here that all of our guys have their own basket. It also works good to put information if we've got stuff we need to give them, paperwork for insurance, any of that kind of stuff. But it makes it fairly easy so that when we have our morning meeting, which is normally around our little break table here, and we try to talk about a subject of the day, something we can do to improve, any questions that we have, make sure of where we're at on the jobs, get our communication, then let everybody get together and do their job, okay? When that's all done, it's going to go down into another basket down there, which is completed jobs or step done. If the job is completely done and we've been through all the steps, well, it's completed. Then it needs to go into the office for billing, costing, make sure we didn't miss anything. We can also write notes on there if there's additional stuff that wasn't taken into account. We do that a lot with the hydraulic repairs. We'll write what component parts were on there. Eventually, we hope to have all that in our E2 system where you can just go bleep, 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 bleep with the little barcode scanner, and it all goes right to the bill. We haven't got there yet. It's about incremental improvement. That is the name of the game. Figure out what I can do today to improve the process. Well, keeping track of that job, part of it is knowing what we have. So that's something we've got to improve on all the time. But when that job is done, it's going to go into the done basket. Then when there's stuff in the done basket, Terica knows that it's time for her to start doing the billing on it, and it's not hard to see. It's right there at the break area, so it's easy for everybody to see. And then if there's another step that needs to get done, which we've got right now, all these jobs have the previous step done. So now Lee needs to take these steps and put them back in the basket assigned to somebody else, and then update the board paperwork. Because if the step's done, like the mill work's done, or the lathe work's done, or the weld work's done, or painting's done, or whatever it is, so we keep our board in check with what we're doing here, so that it makes it easy to walk into the board and visualize, okay, what are we going to have the employees do next? And that is the real thing. And what determines most of the time what Lee will be working on, who's my foreman, or what I'll be working on, is looking at the board and go, okay, what are the next 3 things that I'm going to have all of these people work on? That game plan as to what's the 3-tier approach. And thinking that far ahead gives us time to be able to prepare, programming, any specialty tooling, anything else that is needed to do the job. It makes it a whole lot easier for us to prepare all that. So that's kind of how we do it. It's not complicated, I mean, we're not a, giant company where we need to track everything about everything all the time, but we need to make sure that we're profitable and make sure that we're covering all of our expenses that are coming in and going out. Because freebies are the worst thing ever. Freebies are just like burning money, because that's what you're doing. If you're giving away freebies, whether it's, hardware used on a job or tooling cost that's involved in doing a job, if you're giving it away for free, you might as well be setting the money on fire, because that's what you're doing. It's just the exact same effect. So I hope that shed some light. If you guys have any questions, any more information, feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to answer it. Thank you very much. Have a great day.